The classic push-up versus the iconic bench press. Both are effective horizontal pushing exercises, sharing similar movement biomechanics. Both train the major pressing muscles including the chest, shoulders, and triceps. What are the pros and cons of each, and what does the latest science tell us? Find out which one you should do for building muscle, gaining strength, and much more. Let's kick things off discussing the strengths and weaknesses of the push-up. A major advantage of the push-up is the closed kinetic chain position. The hands are fixed and the body moves. Improvements pertain to relative strength gain. If the goal is mastering one's own body control, this is a go-to resistance exercise. Calisthenics is a blessing because it's cost-effective and efficient. Intensity or difficulty can easily be adjusted by simply altering the body posture. Doing so is a simple way to make the exercise harder, especially for those without equipment. Honestly, this is the big pro of push-ups. No fancy gear, no training partners, just the desire to improve by adjusting relative loading. For those getting more advanced with push-ups, training unilaterally provides a host of benefits. You're now pressing a greater percentage of your body weight through forcing one side to work harder at a time. Modifications will increase muscle activation, increase difficulty, and serve to keep the push-up challenging and productive. The push-up is truly a holistic exercise thanks to what's happening at the scapula. The shoulder blades are free to move organically from retraction to protraction. The mission at Fitness FAQs is to make the weighted push-up a much more popular exercise. We get all of the aforementioned benefits, plus the simplicity of overloading with weights. Intensity is easily adjustable to suit your strength level and desired rep range. The technique can be kept consistent, which is going to ensure reliable, repeatable, objective, and quantifiable calisthenics. The key for safe weighted push-ups is having a dip belt placed on the mid-back. This is optimal for allowing that fluid, unimpeded scapular motion every single rep. We can now train the push-up with sufficient intensity to yield a highly effective training stimulus. The common criticism of the push-up are negated when adding external load. Otherwise, pick any weighted push-up alternative which suits your equipment, availability, and preference. A disadvantage of push-ups is when using incorrect intensity and training parameters, it can really misalign with the goals that you're trying to achieve. Sets of 30 plus push-ups are going to be ineffective for building strength and muscle. Failing to use harder progressions or add external resistance is going to leave super high rep push-up people frustrated and lacking results. Band push-ups in theory sound like a good idea, but in reality, they aren't ideal. Despite being low cost and accessible, band push-ups are ineffective for overloading the bottom range of motion. The setup is awkward, intensity is unpredictable, and the earlier options for increasing difficulty are much preferred. Another push-up problem is the core can be a limiting factor. If the ab muscles do fatigue, a set is going to have to be prematurely stopped, robbing the upper body of those precious gains. This is just one of a few reasons why the bench press may be preferable. It's time to discuss the strengths and weaknesses of the bench press and its variations. The bench press is an open kinetic chain exercise. The body is fixed and the hands are moving. Improvements relate to absolute strength gain. If your goal is hoisting heavy stuff and improving the bench press for its own sake, keep benching every Monday. In all seriousness though, straightforward progression is a major benefit of the bench press. There's no need to alter body leverage or cycle through endless variations like the calisthenics push-up. It's very realistic to keep the bench press technique similar session to session and overload with heavier and heavier weights. Dumbbell bench press is a great way to safely train the upper body. The humeri are free to move into a more tucked orientation. This is much better for shoulder health. Additionally, the range of motion is increased at the shoulder. This is arguably an important muscle building variation. A final pro of the bench press is that it can maximally stress the upper body without being limited by core strength. Those purely looking to grow a thicker, stronger chest, shoulders, and triceps can overload these muscles without any restriction. Here's a few considerations regarding potential weaknesses of the bench press. The main con of the bench press is the likelihood of increased injury risk. Due to the exercise setup, the scapula is blocked by the bench. Correct pressing involves keeping the scapula retracted during every rep. Compared to the push-up, we're not getting that full range of motion, organic scapular motion. Those who bench press quite frequently should definitely include full range of motion scapular work elsewhere in their program to mitigate injury risk and the potential downsides. In addition to this, as long as you're doing other exercises which work the antagonist muscle groups, if you are benching, you should be fine, don't be scared. The downside of bench pressing is the risk of a pec tear is a very real possibility. Going heavy is both a blessing and a curse. You need to be smart, you need to listen to your body to avoid this from happening. The other potential downside of benching is concerning poor technique. Flaring the elbows increases susceptibility to a host of rotator cuff pathologies. But with that said, this same negative can also happen with incorrect push-ups as well. The final limitation by comparison with the push-up is that you need special equipment, generally requiring a gym. Additionally, a safe bench press generally requires a spotter. These aspects of bench pressing aren't deal breakers but had to be mentioned in this video for our consideration. Now that we've summarized from an in the trenches perspective, what does the science say? A 2015 study showed that when volume and intensity is equal, EMG muscle activation in prime movers and strength gain is comparable. It's no surprise similar movement patterns produce similar results. A different study lasting 8 weeks also supported the previous findings. Plyometric push-ups combined with bench press training was superior for 1RM gains compared to just benching by itself. The theory is push-ups augment gains via the recruitment of high-threshold, fast-twitch motor units. It's no surprise the plyometric push-up also enhances the stretch shortening cycle and better expresses the demonstration of 1RM strength. So, after all that information, here's the important question: which exercise is best for you? If you want to get better at benching, aka lifting some heavy iron, the bench press should be a priority. If you want to get better at calisthenics, aka throwing yourself around, the push-up should be a primary focus. Personal preference can't be discounted. If you enjoy benching, bench. If you enjoy push-ups, do push-ups. Don't worry about what the latest YouTube video or science tells you. Enjoying the process and having fulfillment is the only way you're going to train hard, progressively, and stand the test of time required to truly transform your body. Check out fitnessfaqs.com for all your calisthenics training needs, and I'll see you in the next video.